Thanks for being with us again. We are reading once again from the book, The Gathering of the Chosen, a book by Om Prakash Gilmore that is written mostly for those who have a greater understanding of who they are and how the world works, and who need that little nudge to be able to be empowered to transcend the common lot when they want to, or remain in it, moving back and forth at will. If you want to find more about us or about the book or its availability, you can go to our website at www.nextstepcoaching.mysite.com. There's a link to lulu.com there, and also links to our radio show and other programs where we have other chapters of the books available. And so we begin here with chapter 5, When the Scales Fall Away. The scales fall away in many different ways, depending on your wants, needs, and personality. They can, in fact, just drop without you knowing it. If you are an inquisitive, intelligent person who is empathetic to the world and constantly seeking truth without anyone telling you that you have to, the scales can just fall away with no warning. You can be led onto a path you cannot even recognize, and you might not even want. Archetypes or subconscious entities from the collective consciousness of human beings, and that is your conscious and subconscious, could possibly begin to assert themselves. What do I mean by this? You might start seeing things or dreaming about gods, demons, goddesses, aliens, something out of the ordinary repetitively and insistently. My theory is that many of the people with mental difficulties like depression or schizophrenia somehow tapped into something that made the veil between the conscious and the collective unconscious and subconscious fall. They are seeing into this collective unconscious and seeing all of the images that human beings have looked upon, sought, and told stories about to understand our existence. Are these things real? As real as anything else. They are energies. The same type of energy Einstein talked about that cannot be created or destroyed. Various energies either form inside oneself or outside, and this is my theory, stating there's no distinction, to awaken and assert themselves, because it is time for us to expand beyond the narrow boxed-in way of thinking our society provides and feeds into the ego most of our lives. Something else, some greater part of ourselves is saying that it will be seen, recognized, and have a relationship with us. The more we fight it, the more painful the occurrence. Some resort to medication in order to deal with such issues. Some go to fundamentalist religions in order to get these things they call demons cast out. This can work depending on whether the initial shock or confrontation of such actions can lead to a change in one's behavior or lifestyle. It never really works fully if that's not the case, because we are fighting against a part of ourselves. If we recreate the old habits that created the problem for us, it is likely that we will just recreate the same problem all over again. It would be better to go to a spiritual life coach or a spiritual director who knows how to deal with such things, or a traditional healer who emphasizes change in behavior and attitudes, one way or the other, if one wants to grow and experience their own wholeness. One has to deal with these archetypes. Usually these archetypes seem to have a mind of their own, as does the universe. They don't seem to care what we are comfortable with, In fact, sometimes they will give us what we aren't comfortable with to shake us out of our sleep. Rather, to shake us out of pretending as though we are asleep. I once knew a man who was a dedicated Pentecostal. He read the Bible for many years, fasted and prayed, dedicated his whole life to God. He thought everything other than that which was in the Bible was demonic. One day he met a woman who was a self-proclaimed witch. She and her friends were rather immoral to him, casting spells and causing supervisors to have car accidents to get promotions and so forth. He and another friend who was close to her spent a lot of time working together and enjoying themselves. Since he was a real Christian who didn't judge other people as being evil, he often spoke with his friend, the one who introduced him to the woman, who was a Christian too, and told him that if he ever practiced another religion, it wouldn't be paganism, because this woman and her friends were totally immoral. Many years later, he leaves the Pentecostal church and begins to have a dream where all of these women goddess figures are coming in. He thinks they are demonic and puts up a shield. A spiritual warfare battle begins with them that lasts for several months. He goes to the Pentecostal church in the area. They don't know anything about it. They are ignorant and unhelpful. After many months, the battle ends. He wins, but he is so curious about what has happened to him that he decides to take a spiritual journey, meditating, praying, listening to these entities, interacting with them, and journaling. After getting familiar with 6 of them, he meets the 7th one, who is the head and the culmination of all 6. Her name is Diana. He wonders about that and why this dead goddess is coming to him. He asks a friend only to find that Diana is a great goddess that the neo-pagans still celebrate, especially witches. What he never wanted was presented to him by the powers in the universe, and if he hadn't decided to be open and to take what he didn't want, his spiritual life would have ended. Instead, because of such humility and such a hunger for truth, he was led to awakening. The God of Abraham, one they had prayed to all those years, and Jesus, who had been dedicated to for years, saw that there was something missing in him and led him to a greater understanding of the world that consisted of a female aspect of God that he never wanted. It was the part he was missing. He had picked up on the stereotypes about witches he had heard all of his life, and the women that he had met earlier had just proved them to be true, but it wasn't the whole truth. She didn't represent all witches, just as the crooked Christians don't represent all Christians. Aside from his apprehensions because of her bad hypocritical behavior, the most important thing is that he probably feared these experiences and never wanted them because his ego thought that seeing it would bring forth liberation. I would argue that a belief in all stereotypes is a shield to stop those who are awake from admitting it and living it because they want to remain in a state of comfort, even if it's artificial. All this to say that you may be given some path that you don't want or experience. Sometimes you have a prejudice against to lead you to the light. If you turn it down, you would have failed. I am reminded of the story of the Assyrian general who went into Israel and asked the prophet Elijah to heal him from leprosy. He passed on a message telling the Assyrian to go dip in the Jordan River 7 times. The general scoffed at him. The river was full of garbage and sewage and every other kind of disgusting thing. The general said, "We have a lot better rivers than this where I come from. That's ridiculous to dip in the river." The prophet just reiterated what he said. The general, in all of his finery, went into the disgusting river, dipped 7 times, and when he came up from the water, his skin was smooth as a baby's skin. What does this story mean for us? It means that a lot of times the gods will ask us to dip into the disgusting river to get cleansed and healed, and we will miss our blessing if our pride and disbelief gets in the way. The gods are like that. They love us enough to not care about what we want sometimes. And that is the ending of chapter 5. When the scales fall away. Thanks for being with us. We'll be reading chapter 6 very, very soon. But if you want to get a copy of this book and read it for yourself and share it with friends, just go to our website and you will find a link on our support page to lulu.com, where the ebook version of this book is available. Have a great day, evening, and life, remembering just who and what you really are. Namaste.